He has to stand up in the middle of the podcast.
I forget if I even push play sometimes. We'll get halfway in and I'm like, fuck, it's getting good. I should really know for sure that this is going to work.
So I like to push that button.
Yeah.
It's like, is it on? Ah, come on! And then
well, guys, we're back this week. We're going to go through a Q&A episode here for two reasons. One, we got a lot of questions coming through. We have a running Q&A forum that's going to be, if you go through the description, I think on both the iTunes stuff and YouTube, there will be a submit your questions thing.
Don't look at me, I don't know.
Don't ask Julien. But if you click on that forum, you can submit any questions and we'll kind of harvest questions from this for these Q&A episodes.
It's decaf.
But the other reason we're doing a Q&A episode, that's the good one, I hope.
Okay, good.
For
a second.
The other reason we're doing a Q&A episode is because I'm 80% sure I food poisoned myself yesterday. So I spent the whole day in the office, on the couch. I think I walked outside twice, once in the middle of the night. Just
I got a text message saying, how about we podcast tomorrow?
Yeah, I messaged Julien. Usually before he gets up to start messaging me with a bunch of studies, exactly. I had to get in front of that and say, I'm going to die.
Not today.
So today,
let me die today.
Today I got up, I'm feeling okay. But I was like, I either have to pick a topic where Julien's just going to talk, in which I'll look like an idiot and learn nothing, or we're going to roll out the
Because he didn't have time to study for the podcast.
I didn't have time
yesterday.
to do anything.
That's
yesterday.
why, yeah. Exactly.
I actually edited the podcast yesterday that came out today.
For you guys, he sacrificed himself for you guys.
Yes.
Whatever time was not on the restroom, he spent doing the podcast for you guys. That's how much we value you people.
Wanted to throw a couple disclaimers as I was editing it yesterday. I hate that I have to do this because I don't fucking actually care if you want to jump my shit about this. If you want to jump my shit about this, I don't care about your opinion. But for the sake of misspeaking, we were going through some stuff with the opioid crisis. I think my exact terms were, ain't nobody dying from OxyContin. It's when the progression to street drug. The context in that really is, the issue is that progression from regular opioids all the way through.
What it means is people actually can die from OxyContin, but most of the times that's not what they die from, because by then they're so addicted, doctors kick them out and they go to heroin because it's cheaper, let's be honest.
And then there's dosages
the dosages are so high, they just need to go to heroin because it's just too expensive. And so in that sense...
Anything beyond that context, I don't want to hear
Right. In that sense, heroin kills people, in a sense, and OxyContin doesn't, because by then they have switched to heroin already.
However,
but OxyContin, you can overdose from it, obviously.
What I view that as, what I mean is the opioid crisis the issue is about the escalation of the intensity of the opiates. So all of it is the crisis. By the way,
that's not even, okay, but my rant
that's not
was
even what
not
we're
even
talking about in that episode.
My rant was how the whole thing was covered.
Yeah.
I was deeply offended by how they went at someone calling him an addict to anti-anxiety drugs and everything, where actually there's... the benzodiazepines are an extremely strong drug that obviously maybe his doctor did not know fully what the risks were when he put it on low dosages, which are what we think is low dosages, and benzodiazepine is not. There's videos out there on YouTube explaining to you that it's actually the equivalent of a high dose of Valium. That shit is so strong. But the fact that, again, that reminds me a bit of the opioid crisis, where no doctor went to jail.
Yeah.
How is it that people I hate Dr. Peterson just wants to jump on his case. Yeah. But I would like them to remember that the dosage of benzodiazepine was, first of all, he was on it first because of anxiety, but especially his autoimmune issues with food. And second of all, he upped the dosages, which gave him the paradoxical reaction when his wife was diagnosed with terminally ill cancer. This is who you're shitting on.
Yeah.
That's what I get offended on.
Yeah.
See, how dare you shit on someone whose life, because he's extremely family oriented, is diagnosed with terminally ill cancer and he doesn't take it well. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm offended.
And if I'm being totally honest, in that situation, is the right reaction for, say, Jordan Peterson to go off the rails and drink like a degenerate for the next 6 to 8 months?
Right.
Probably not. That's not a good move for him. If he did, though, would you be like,
how
else is he supposed to
No, they would call him a drunk.
Well, but either way, I feel like that is probably more acceptable in the public space. Like Jordan Peterson just been drinking a lot since his wife got sick.
No, but what killed me is that almost no one mentioned the fact that his wife got terminally ill with cancer. No one mentioned that in the article. How dare you not put this into context? I mean, that's what kills me, is the lack of context. Yeah. Where they did not explain the potency of the drug he was on, the fact that he had a paradoxical reaction, the fact that his wife was diagnosed with terminally ill cancer. How can you not put those three? How is that journalism in any shape or form when you don't put those three in?
Conspiracy Tyler believes that you're not allowed to say anything bad publicly about the pharmaceutical
industry. By the way, that might be number 4.
Especially on the mental health space, where I believe like pharmaceutical interventions are great in a lot of things on the body. When you start dealing with mental health stuff, there's a lot of shit there. We have no fucking idea when you start introducing chemicals. Then when you talk stacking, whatever. I'll leave the rest to people who know more than me, but if you want to call me out for anything we spoke on that episode, I don't really care.
Whatever.
Anyway,
the Q&A. That was not the point. Let's go with the Q&A. That way I'm warmed up.
Yes. So the Q&As are, I want to start with, this is a good movement question for us to get started, right? So 2 questions.
Yep.
I may only do 1. We'll see. How might the gait cycle, your walking movement cycle, be viewed as an expression of the torque chain principles, being that the complete gait cycle seems to have characteristics of both torque chains?
Right. All right. So, yes, it does. But the key is you're either in one or the other. That's the key with the torque chains. You can do both at the same time. So,
do you mean from a movement standpoint?
Yeah, you're either in one or the other. You're never in IT and ET at the same time.
Yeah.
You're either in IT or in ET. You're just never in both at the same time because that's not what the thing is. Yeah. So, walking. By the way, there's you can walk.
That's how I walk.
Yeah, right.
Then there's which is a very good indicator of the opposite.
Right. So that becomes the question. Is like, is there a correct way of walking? By the way, so let me say that first. There's 2 ways where you can walk. Right. One is correct. The other one is not. But that being said, you will see both in people walking. It's just when if it's incorrect, it shows a problem because you see that with sprinting the same way. It's actually a lot of the same pattern. So you have 2 ways of walking. You can either reach out with your foot, with the ball of your foot, anchor that digit by the big toe into the ground and pull yourself forward, which is what you do when you're sprinting, right? If you look at sprinters, they put the foot toward that big toe, toward the what is that called? The digit of the whatever it's called of the big toe.
Big toe knuckle or whatever you call it.
Yeah, the big toe knuckle.
The ball of your feet.
Yeah, the ball of your foot, but toward the inside, right? Toward the big toe, and you pull yourself forward. That is the correct way to walk, to sprint and everything. But that being said, you could do it another way, which is you could just plant your foot not as far, almost just barely past you, lean forward and then push off the foot, even the ball of the foot, or in that case, most likely the outside of the foot, and create an external torque motion by creating the tension toward the outside of the foot and push yourself forward like that. That's what you would do off the blocks of a sprinting stuff.
That
off
explosion
the blocks
is going to be...
It's the external torque. And from there, they start to switch to internal torque when they go reach and pull themselves forward. So you can push yourself forward in external torque, or you can pull yourself forward in internal torque. And a good walking is pulling yourself forward in internal torque. But when you have shoes and stuff like that, you'll see most people shifting to the outside of the foot and then just lean forward, fall forward, and then push themselves forward in AT. And that's where the problem is with the shoes, because they take you toward the outside of the foot, which is external torque, and they make you push yourself forward.
I've been finding since in traveling, I have like a size 14 or 15 shoe. So in traveling, I wear like Vans and I don't pack extra shoes. Or if I pack extra shoes, they're like training shoes and then some Vans. So I can pack them up smaller. They'll take up a whole goddamn backpack. If I bring a pair of basketball shoes, I'm fucked.
Yes.
You know. So but what's funny is these shoes, since they're very much mostly a true flat shoe, I can feel the opposite of exactly what is ideal. So when I go, I work on it, but when I walk, I try to grab with the ball of my feet. And even when I hit there, it's like there is almost all the way up. I cannot provide that will almost completely collapse down to the foot.
And then you put you out. Exactly.
Because how I'm inclined to walk, which is kind of how I just always have, which is indicative of all my other movement patterns. I almost walk, like Julien says, almost fall forward, plant truly on the outside of my heel. So I have shoes that are just a few months old, and the outside of that heel is worn here.
And you see that.
That is not how you should be doing it. That puts all the weight actually right here on your
glute med, lumbar rectors, the whole stuff. And that's why glute med spasm.
And when I was overweight, what I would have this issue is I would be driving like in my work van, and I would get these like shooting nerve pains for no fucking reason, like right down there. And for me, just moving a little bit better, getting some weight off, and getting generally stronger, that kind of went away. But if you see me walk, I pretty much, if I'm not paying attention, it is just the expression of external torque.
But that's the thing too, is once you've learned to walk, it's almost impossible to correct.
They do
it's
say,
very, very
I think after like, what do they say, like after like 15 or 18 years old, something like that, that it is almost impossible to try to change.
But the shoes make it worse, right? And so once you've learned that pattern, it's rough. So as you said, because it's external torque to go on the outside and everything, means he loads your glute med, lumbar erector, so it gives a lot of people spasm in the back. So a lot of time, the walking alone can create the back spasm. So there can be a phase where you push off your foot slightly to go forward, but normally it's compensating by a much greater pull forward. So there's a moment where you shift, like your foot forward, where you pull with the left one and you shift forward. There's a moment where you could push off your foot a little bit in ET just to get an impulse going. The problem is when that gets off balance and when you start to rely mostly on ET, on external torque to walk forward. Then you're just pushing yourself forward. Your steps are small, so you take a lot of them. You'll see loading of the glute med, the shortness of breath, because now you're going into a totally different movement pattern. And so, by the way, more steps means, like more movement, more. So now more mouth breathing. Yes, exactly. So you breathe faster because usually you cadence your breathing and your walking. And so more steps means faster breathing. Usually that means not nasal breathing, I mean mouth breathing because it's faster. And before you know it, you're in the sympathetic.
By the way, that concept of your cadence should be in rhythm with how you walk or run. Even as an athlete, that is fucking just never registered with me. Ever. And of course it's as it should be, but when I even playing basketball and things like that, when I would breathe and we'd get going and I'd have to do something now, I would do like the worst thing you can do. I'm just gonna hold my breath. Yeah, exactly. But this is what your body loves the most is cadence. But from the inside. So if you walk in internal torque, which if you look the outside of the foot is an antenna when something is rough. When you want to test, like let's say you want to test if the ice would crack. You would not go with the outside of your foot. You would go with the inside of the foot because you have better receptors there to test that, for that pressure. So the body sensation comes from inside the foot, not outside. Outside is like if there's something rough, like a piece of glass, you would go on the outside because you know it's going to hurt less, right? So inside should be cadenced. I'll explain that when we do the interoception stuff. The inside loves pacemakers. So if you start to adjust your breathing and your walking, your inside, so all the monitoring of your body signals, that's what it's designed for. The body loves pacemakers. It's in alignment.
Because nothing outside is regulated. The only thing you have regulated is inside. A lot of things, I'll explain all this, but a lot of things inside on many, many more levels than you understand act as pacemakers. The body loves pacemakers.
Requires that frequency, a wavelength, pace.
But to so many degrees, right? And so when you have a cadence between your breathing and your walking, it helps. On very, very, very deep level that I'll go into when we do the interoception.
So I think if I listen to you right,
your stomach does that. It's called a gastric basal rhythm. That the enteric nervous system sends a pulse of low electrical wave at 0.05 hertz, so very, very small, but constantly. And that acts as a pacemaker for the whole body. Isn't that crazy? I know. It's a crazy thing. If you start to go into, and the heart does the same, by the way. So there's constant pacemaker. You know, like that thing on the piano?
The metronome.
The metronome. We have metronomes inside. So the problem starts when your music and the metronome go fuck all.
You start fucking up your circadian rhythm.
Right.
Food intake.
Right, exactly. So all that, but even the heart, and so so that's why that cadence can be extremely important for the body. So, like for example, if you want to, like before you go to bed or you go have dinner, you go walk pure nasal breathing for 20 minutes. Try to develop a cadence where you put your walking toward the inside of the foot in rhythm with your breathing, and you'll get very calm very fast. That's a tremendous help for anxiety and stuff like that. And it's 20 minutes.
So don't walk the way I walk. That's what Julien said. Don't walk the way Tyler walks. He's doing it wrong. I've got another one here. I like this because we've had this question a fair amount about vegetarian or vegan diets with the nutrition protocol. And I think, though, at least with some of the new stuff you've talked about, with some additions of carbohydrates, we could try to figure there still is going to be a thing. But
it's going to be rough.
But I think...
Can I at least shit on vegans now? just for fun.
We did it. Well, there was also a game changers question in here too. But I think
please bring on the game changer one, because that was such bullshit.
Let's put this together. So I want to say, she's tried it, but genuinely felt that she could see that she was holding fat. I say she, actually. I don't fucking know who asked this question.
Don't be sexist.
I know. I'm sure I was doing something wrong. Probably eating too many nuts, cream, etc.
Nuts would do it. Nuts have a lot of carbs anyway.
But basically, the protocol for vegetarian. Also, I think / our take on the vegan game changers thing. That's an additional question. I'm lumping them together.
Okay. So what's the question?
So, any advice for a vegetarian person?
Oh, because the game changer promotes.
Well, just with the nutrition protocol. Let's do that first.
Can I go game changer?
No. Let's do this to our ground before we come out with the hammer.
Right. So can you do it vegetarians? Vegetarians, as in no protein from animal form whatsoever?
I would guess probably, or maybe just dairy. I think dairy. They said
right.
She mentioned this person mentioned
dairy is fat, so it's the problem with if you go vegetarian is that you will have a major issue triggering a parasympathetic state at night. There's nothing in the vegetarian diet that is outside of broccoli hard enough to digest to require the parasympathetic drive anyway, and it works with protein for that reason. Like you're gonna basically, so that means if you're on vegetarian diet, you have fuel all day, all night. Like there's never that break. So how would you do a break at night? I guess if you were to have enough cream, like let's say...
For vegetarian, can you have like a whey protein, like a milk protein?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so if you had yogurt with whey protein, okay, so now we're starting to already compromise.
Yes.
Because whey protein, first of all, we're assuming that it's whey protein and not rat hair.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but knowing what I know about the fitness industry, if we start to talk about whey protein, again, we are assuming that they're not putting shit in it that should not be there.
Yeah.
That's a big assumption, right? We are assuming that they're not putting untold chemicals in it to make it, to give you a boost or whatever. Like I remember hydroxycut and stuff like Jack 3D discovered like they were putting extra stuff in there just to sell. Okay. So already we're starting with that. And on top of it, now you're trying to compromise the protocol to make it the way you want. Right, it's feasible, it's gonna be rough. So if that lady or guy say like he was, for example, getting fat on the protocol, you have to understand that at some point, if you consume a huge amount of nuts or cream or whatever and don't train the right way, no, it won't work. Yeah. But the problem is that when you try to separate the nutrition protocol from the training, we're advocating. Yeah. Then it won't. Then it doesn't. Like you can't take things.
Can't take the things you put in your body and then the way that you move and what you do and separate them.
No, but like StrongFit.
That's what we did with all of our groups online. Now we don't do nutrition and then fucking
we just
training
put them together
I'm tired of having two conversations.
It's like the idea of like for example, that your state of mind won't affect your training or vice versa. It's like, I want to train really hard, but oh, by the way, I'm on antidepressants, I'm having a rough time. Then maybe it's not the right time to do the Ed Cohen cycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like those things are separate, but they're not. Right, so you thinking you can separate your nutrition from your training is not cool either. So if you're a vegetarian and you want to build muscle, without protein, it's going to be rough. At least give me eggs or fish, or then we can make it work. But pure vegetarian, like pure vegan, if you look at vegan meals, they have a lot of carbs in them. And for them to taste good, even when they say it's just, veggies, no, it's not. They put stuff in it to make it so that you feel fuller. So usually sweet stuff, so it tastes good, because who wants to eat tofu? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it forces a manipulation of the food toward selling it. Welcome to the society we're in. Yeah. Like you have to understand how the whole stuff works. If you're vegan, it's gonna be rougher because I need the parasympathetic state at night. Circadian rhythm, need that, right? And in a vegetarian format, it's harder to get protein. There's no question there, right? So you could get the shakes and all that stuff, but that's assuming they're putting in the shake what they say they are. Yeah. By the way, let's go the other way, red meat. Right, we're assuming the cow that we get the meat from is not sick.
Yeah.
That's not the case all the time either. So I guess, you know what I mean? Like it works both ways, don't get me wrong.
Quality of everything, man.
It's quality
not just
first.
composition,
Yes,
but
it's
quality.
yeah. So, and by the way, there's different types of protein. Red meat is not fish. It's not digested the same way. In a sense, much harder to digest red meat than it is fish. So,
and we found often that people's abilities to handle those things are changed from person to person, demographic to demographic,
6 months
culture to
to
culture.
6 months.
Yeah, and as time goes.
Right, as you are on the protocol, things change. But so, if in order to, so basically you had fuel, let's say someone doesn't have, protein at night, so they have basically fuel all day and gonna make the difference with all that with cream and nuts. That can be, first of all, nuts have carbohydrates in them, even though there's a lot of fibers, but that might be just, you might be pounding calories like crazy. So the whole calories in, calories out is not that simple. But at some point, if you overeat, you're gonna get fatter. Like there's no question around that. I mean,
you had talked.
I'm not for macros, but there's a moment where you're just overeating too.
Yeah.
Like you got to know the difference. The protocol doesn't mean you can have
all you want or nothing.
12,000 calories on heavy cream a day and not pay a price for it. I mean,
you had mentioned too,
and that's not because of calories. Also, it's because you will trigger the vagus nerve, which will trigger the fat increase. So it's not just calories alone.
Yeah,
it's a trigger of the vagus nerve. Let me just go into this for 1 second. Yes. A lot of time, it's not when you eat more. The problem is not calories in that sense. Of course, calories exist from a thermodynamics perspective, but it's not just that. When you have stuff like, for example, like saturated fats or whatever, you're going to have a trigger of the vagus nerve that triggers the body toward producing fat, and most likely muscle and stuff like that. That's the melanocortin Access podcast. Go watch it. But so there's that too. When you eat a lot, you keep triggering the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
So you might do that too much during the day, right? Not enough at night, so that can disrupt your sleep. Or by triggering the vagus nerve excessively at night, you might trigger a fat-producing mechanism excessively. So that might not even be the calories per se, although they don't help. You know what I mean?
Because the calories are there.
Are there on top of it.
The state,
But on top of that, you have, so that's why that energy out, it might not be that simple. Like the body is not, it's not just you put in fuel and then there's a gas tank in the back. It's far more complex because of the trigger of the vagus nerve. That's why eating a lot of certain foods versus others that's why I don't like calories, because you'll have two types of protein and technically they're the same calorie. But eating a lot of red meat and eating a lot of fish is not the same, and it's not just because of the fat content or stuff like that. It's more complex. The trigger of a vagus nerve is actually a huge part of nutrition. And for whatever reason that we are not looking into it, because we're stuck with the calories in versus calories out.
You had spoken in the past too, though, about how cultures, like older cultures that have had high carbohydrates, the reason that they were able to maintain health on high carbohydrates was that they had low overall calorie
diet. Yeah. So those were, so for that so understand what we mean by that when we say low calories. It's not that they were counting or anything. It's just to explain that they were not eating a lot. Yeah. Right. So that's what we're going to see, low calorie versus. So if you look, historically speaking, the culture that had carbs a lot, you're going to talk about Japan, always with the rice culture, right? And you're going to see in certain places in Africa, for example, right? They use what we call the inyam, which is some type of potatoes and stuff like that. Those places had very low calorie intake diets in the sense of they're really not eating much. If you look in Japan, it was seen as a quality to eat very little, right? Always. And then they were, by the way, we're talking, for example, 18th century, they were all like 4'10", 5'2". They were very, very short, right? Not very big, extremely violent, but not, and they ate very little. And there's been a lot of studying lately on this, where it was showing that the Prevotella, which is the gut flora that gets predominantly triggered through eating, like for example the inyam or the rice or whatever, is the gut flora, so responsible for carbohydrates, had its own purpose in a low-calorie diet. So in a low-calorie diet, you could have way more carbs. You're actually designed for that because the Prevotella will create a trigger toward the sympathetic to make you hunt more, to make you farm more. Those were also farmers' culture. If you look, Africa, not that much to hunt. Japan, not that much to hunt, too many people. Those were farming cultures. Farming requires more work than hunting in that sense, right? So the sympathetic reaction could be there, like, all right, do the work and stuff like that, even on a low-calorie diet. So that's what the Prevotella was starting to think it was. It was a driver toward doing more work to produce very little calorie in a carb form. Yeah. Right. So the problem would be what? If you have a high-calorie diet with carbs. And then, because then it
your
drives
overall
you.
activity isn't high either.
Right. So now it drives you toward more and more and more, because that's what the Prevotella would do, right? On someone who's not moving enough. So of course, like, you just deregulate and fuck up everything.
And then we talk about what that does from an anxiety standpoint.
Right. And now we're not, and then I'm not even into the cephalic phase insulin response, which drives toward higher blood sugar levels. And so if you look at from a cultural perspective, when you start to put everything together, we are fucked.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the takeaway from this.
Like, honestly, like, so, but to go back to veganism and vegetarians, I have no problem with that. I've tried, not vegan, but I tried to be vegetarian myself. I've spent time without no protein because I wasn't digesting well at the time. By the way, let's talk about this real quick, because that's also a part of it. If you don't digest well, don't eat red meat.
Correct.
It'll wreck you.
Yeah.
So that means salmon is your best bet. So I had to have that for the longest time, right? Because I wasn't digesting well. But why wasn't I digesting well? It's because I had stimulants continuously, like sugar and coffee, that were getting me into a very high sympathetic response, partly because of me and being on the spectrum and everything, but it was a very high response, and because I'm in sympathetic all the time, naturally I can't digest.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a wonder why you, with 7 espressos and some chocolate,
and everything,
and sushi for lunch, all of a sudden, like when you have your last espresso at 5 p.m. and you go have dinner at 7, like, why the red meat doesn't settle.
Right, and so I could never eat red meat. I'm like, oh, my digestion is weak. No, it wasn't weak. It was
I think your exact words were, red meat is shit.
Yeah, right, probably. And you know what, for me,
for you, it was
at that time, it was. But the problem wasn't red meat. The problem was me, because I was fucking up my own digestion by having stimulants all the time, which of course require more stimulants. So so that's why I understand all this, because I was part of this. Yeah. I've done this to myself for 40 years straight.
I think that's the perfect explanation of how we always talk about how, like, the ecosystem that you are in has to be conducive. So you are not in an ecosystem that was going to let you digest red meat.
No.
What are you going to do? Well, either don't eat it, or you start to change the ecosystem.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right.
And those are kind of your
But
choices.
that's the problem with the game changer and all that stuff, is none of this becomes part of the conversation where people literally say red meat is bad for me. I agree. Like, it was bad for me at that time because my digestion was so poor, but that's something I was doing to myself. So the problem becomes when I'm like, therefore, I will challenge the entire world to agree with me. And now I make a documentary where I say everybody should be vegan, red meat is bad for you. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go get people that are eating cows that are sick, that are having sugar, carbs all day, continuously in a sympathetic state, which means that red meat is even if it was quality, it'd still be a bad idea, but on top of it, it's sick red meat. So yeah, it'll fuck them up. Yeah. There's no question. But now I'm going to do a study on that, come up and say, see, red meat is bad.
Yeah. Also, the thing with the game changers thing that I saw, the biggest was that one, obviously, you should have heard all the financial interests behind that, as in that are getting into processed vegan food.
You've been
products.
listening to podcasts about conspiracy theory.
No.
Is that what you did all day yesterday?
Many days. Yeah. Listen, many days. But I will say this. No, there's a lot of, so like the producers, directors of all of the directors.
James Cameron is behind.
They're all behind plant-based food, huge plant-based food companies, like massive initiatives that are coming. And so that's step one, right? Like, that's like if McDonald's released a fucking documentary, I'd be a little leery of the food recommendations.
And they say don't eat meat. I'd be curious to see that. Yeah.
But the other thing about it though is this: is I do think if a person has a moral thing where if you really don't believe that you should eat anything that was ever walking or whatever the thing is for you, I am not to talk you out of it.
Nope.
It's not my thing. So if those are the constraints you place on your life, then understand the things that you've talked about and mitigate what you can in the middle, or just, I don't know, do your thing. What can I tell you?
It's going to be do your thing, because honestly, I have not tested a protocol on a pure vegetarian, and we've been struggling.
You wouldn't know where to start.
I don't know where to start with the protein thing. Yeah. I don't know where to start, because the way you're going to get protein is through is fats. So you're still with the fueling and everything. And by the way, real fast on the game changer, when the dude went on Joe Rogan, he did not explain anything. All he did was to counteract the claims made by the other guy, Kinsler, K something, right? Because the guy made some claims attacking him, and so that dude went on Joe Rogan to basically attack the 3 claims that the guy made wrong.
Yeah, it turns like a debate where we come in, I checked his thing, I rebutted.
Right, exactly. So he found 3 claims that were erroneous somewhat. Yeah. And then attacked those.
And the other 9 where he was stapled to the fucking wall, he just left us.
Yeah. And so like when you say, and then he had some semantics argument and everything. So all he did was, and by the way, if we're going to go conspiracy theory, James Cameron is behind all this, paid $140 million for this pea protein stuff. Mm-hmm. That guy looked like he was coached.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, on that podcast, that dude did very well defending himself. I don't think, I'd be curious to, I'm not going to say anything.
That fucking Terminator, Titanic, Avatar money, baby.
I'd be curious to know if he was coached into that one or not. Yeah. But no matter what, he did not explain anything from the documentary. All he did was to attack the points that the other dude, Dr. Kin, whatever his name is, sorry, I suck with names, was somewhat erroneous about.
Where he left something out.
He left something stuff out, and his definition of locals versus others were not exactly, whatever. That's just a lawyer kind of thing where he was attacking him in court. But he did not make any argumentation toward, for example, he keeps saying that this was not a documentary about veganism. Yes, it was.
I don't know.
It totally was. Oh, come on. I lasted 30 minutes.
Now, on the subject, what I see too, so this is the deal. The people behind, say, the Game Changers thing, they're not trying to actually tell you to become vegan because of any reason, in my opinion, other than that what they hope is to bring you into the vegan market. That's it. They want more people attracted to the vegan marketplace. The vegan marketplace is a wonderful place if you're buying real foods, whole foods, vegetables, all those things. Yes. There's fucking nothing wrong with any of it. Yeah. What the vegan corporate money place is, and when frankly, if I have people making fucking massive movies and putting hundreds of millions of dollars behind promoting and getting it out there, the issue I find with that, they're not selling fucking broccoli.
No.
What they're selling now, and start looking at some of these things, are these highly processed,
very processed, highly
processed. The only thing that they do not have in them is animal products.
Yeah.
And so that's my thing.
Every other shit.
So that's why I don't point at those things and say a vegan diet is bad, but a processed diet, a highly processed diet is bad. And when I see financial interests coming in and making bold statements about nutrition like that, I know what's coming. And look at the vegan section often in your grocery store. Yes. The vegan section should be the fucking produce department and a few other things. The vegan section at a fucking grocery store is insulting to me.
And you look at the sugar content. And look at the sugar content.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it won't taste the way everybody wants it to taste. And again, this is compromising on the core principle of the thing. Where just to sell more. That's the problem with right now where the society win is we are willing to compromise to get what we want. Yeah, but then you don't get the stuff now, do you?
Yeah.
You don't get to have it both ways. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's my problem with that argument. Is the highly processed food has a shit ton of sugar. Then don't kid yourself. You're just having a veggie burger at McDonald's.
Yeah. Be a little more cynical, people. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, or listen to podcasts about flat Earth theory. But no, but don't make a difference. Most of the vegan stuff that you see, it's the same thing as that vegan burger at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Don't think it's that much different.
Yeah.
Like don't kid yourself. You're not healthier. You're not.
Yeah.
This is the same shit. There's no meat in it. That's all.
Yeah.
But don't. And by the way, game changer real fast. I've been at a very high level in MMA and strongman. Vegetarian athletes in power sports, like if we count MMA as a power sport, maybe 1%.
Yeah.
No, but let's be honest. Like, okay, so if it was true that vegetarian is better for athletes, I would think that you would get at least a third would be vegetarians, and you get 1% of the population.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, plus it's
about 2%.
Well, and in the strength sports world, it's like you're talking output, and so maybe that's not the point of that diet. And maybe I don't know.
No, but power sports have been around. Okay, the Olympics have been around 2,200 years, right? So he's claiming that in Rome, like that one gladiator school, and I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the Olympics. History of the Olympics, 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Right. Fine, not exactly, but you know. And then let's see what they all like. So you think what? No one figured it out till 2020?
Well, and here's my thing though. I'm always easy to say, well, just because it was that way, I don't give a fuck. So I'm always saying, yes, sure, let's say they ate meat the whole way through. I won't take that for any credence, to be honest with you.
No, but
I'm okay with just that's the way things work.
We've been trying to excel at power sports for over 2,000 years. You're telling me in the last 2,000 years, no culture has figured out that vegetarian was better?
Yeah. I will say this.
And had the proof?
If you want to do it, You maybe can do it.
The fuck
you maybe can do it for sure, right? There are some you could
do what you want.
Go do what you think and get strong and do.
You're asking my opinion.
But if I wanted to put you in the best place to do that, that wouldn't be where I'd start.
No, honestly, I would find protein you can digest. That would be step one. So if you're asking me like what to do, step one would be what protein can you digest, right? So philosophically, you don't want to eat something that worked. Okay, then what proteins can we find that you can have at night?
Yeah.
Right. And so if it has
that
to
isn't
be
paired with a high amount of carbohydrates.
Right. So if it has to be some form of whey protein, let's find a company that we can trust that is giving you that protein. It's still whey protein, so it's still based on milk. So I don't know how much you're going to get out of it, but let's start with that.
Yeah.
But if you can digest fish, maybe we can start with fish. Eggs, we can do egg whites at night. Let's find something that you can do and let's work from there. But if we're talking no form whatsoever animal protein, then we're most likely going to have to rely on shakes. Otherwise, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where else you get the proteins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because remember, the point is not to have them during the day. So that means you're going to have to accumulate all of them at night, which I believe is the correct way.
But it's also tricky to do all that and have overall just enough calories too, though, to do your work, to recover.
Right.
All that stuff. It then ends up being a lot of work. So.
No, but let's see. The problem that I see with veganism and vegetarianism right now is the fact that because of the low intake of protein at one time, they're going to have to spread it throughout the day. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how else you're going to get enough protein, right? So that means you need to have it throughout the day, otherwise you'll never get enough. And so that to me goes against circadian rhythms. Mm-hmm. So that creates another problem.
Yeah. I would say this, like you said, find protein that works, experiment with. That's gonna be the main thing. The hard part is like we've said, you try and let us know what you find.
Yeah, experiment.
This one here is very. It's a good question. But there was just a little bit of, where did I see this fucking thing? It's hard to, I have so many questions on here and I haven't organized them because I was sick yesterday. Here we go. How to bridge the gap from conventional nutrition and training to the StrongFit principles for folks that for many reasons don't have the capacity to go all in. Now, I'm gonna preface this point there with all in. Maybe it is like maybe you're training an old person, right? Let's just say that.
Is it for them or is it for someone else?
I don't know that, so I want to give them the out there. Where is the most important place to start? Not everyone is able to go all in for legitimate reasons, aka our time is allocated to non-negotiable items, limiting time.
Our time is allocated to what? To non-negotiable items, limiting time to dive deep. Explain to me non-negotiable items.
Well, you're asking
is that what your life is like?
Well, that is interesting. Right. I think that's the point.
Okay, so what is your life? What in your life is a non-negotiable items? All right, so let's go at that one. I'm not going to answer what I want to answer on that one, but let me start with that. What if I'm right?
What if?
What if I'm right? What if I'm right with all this? What if that's how the body is designed and should be fed and all that stuff? Then what do you want to negotiate about? Because so what you're saying is the items in your life are non-negotiable, but my stuff is.
So let's do, I have a job. I don't know what I have a job. It's really stressful. My boss sucks. My coworkers are fucking awful. The stress is there, but the money's good. I got to feed my family. That job has me working from 6 a.m. till 6 o'clock at night, 6 days a fucking week. I get an hour to train 3 days a week at best. My sleep's rough.
Right, but that's
I need to eat at work or I'm tired.
But the non-negotiable item seems to be food-based.
That's what's interesting.
Who is shoving that food in your face that you can't say no to? But again, let me go back to my point. What if I'm right? So if I'm right, you're saying that those items are non-negotiable, but mine are. So, but if I'm right, that means you're saying that the truth is negotiable, but your circumstances are not.
Yeah. And your circumstances should almost always be subject to change. Maybe not immediate change.
Right.
But if they're not, I would not
are you saying that you are a victim of your circumstances? This is what your life is. You have non-negotiable items such as food in your life. Short of slavery, I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
So you basically the point is, how do I get to do what I want within the protocol? All right. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's my answer.
Yeah. I think...
No, but seriously, what if I'm right? What if I'm right with what I said? Then negotiate what? Like, are you asking me how much you can get away with? Okay, you can get away with as much as you want. There's my answer. Yeah. Like, what do you want me to say anyway? What do you mean to answer? I didn't design the protocol. Like, do you want an 80-20 diet? Go do that. You want to have the protocol and still have caffeine and sugar? Go do that. I can't stop you. That is not, I'm not selling you the protocol. Have you noticed? All that stuff is for free. It's just like, I'm going off circadian rhythm, off interoception, off the way the enteric system, digestion, the way the peripheral nervous system impacts all this. What do you want to negotiate? Okay, so go negotiate with your nervous system. How about that? Yeah. What is the negotiation with your nervous system going to be like, or can be like? So who are we negotiating with it? God? Not that I believe in God, but go negotiate with the creator of your nervous system and your digestive system. Okay. Go negotiate with evolution. Yeah. Try that one. Try to negotiate with evolution, and let's see if you win or lose that argument. I'm pretty sure you're going to lose. But so I don't really have answers to those, like non-negotiable items in your diet. What are those?
What if the question is I'm sure it's inclusive of training. So let's say in that situation, that person is in a situation with high stress all day, limited access to training, especially in lieu of sleep. You know what I mean? At that point, say you get 3 sessions a week, and maybe you have imbalances. What do you do at that point to get?
You change your life.
That's where I want to go. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You change your life.
The
idea that you're gonna keep having a shitty lifestyle and make it a tiny little bit better by doing the protocol. I got news for you. No, you won't. You are trying to do whatever. You are a victim of circumstances. This is a victimhood mentality. Yeah. This is what offends me the most in today's society, is the fact that we let people think that a victimhood mentality is okay. Non-negotiable. Right, so you are a product of your environment. And to this, my answer is that is not true. Yeah. Things need to change.
Well, I think that's the thing, is people are looking to fitness, they're looking to nutrition for a solution to an issue that's an everything issue. So often I've coached clients, online clients, where they'll say things like, yeah, my job, I'm dying tired in the afternoon. It's just really high stress. I need the job. I got all the thing. Yeah. And you realize that person being like finding a job that fills that space for them, that can at least fulfill them better, yep, or make them hate that time in their life, yeah, less. They need that way more than they need abs.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
And if they got that,
yeah,
then abs. So you get to realize, you're like, fuck. This guy did not come to me me to tell him to quit his fucking job,
yeah,
but I need to tell him your job, your life, your daily life is doing a huge disservice to you, your health, to everything, yeah, that you're doing here. You want to eat that shit for the rest of your fucking life because it's not negotiable?
So how about that? How about we try to figure out what the nutrition should be like so it makes your job less miserable?
Yeah.
And we're still going to follow the protocol then.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe he's talking about one of his clients. He says, well, my client say he's going to eat that. Yeah. Right. So then I will quote you incorrectly, Epictetus, when he said that you cannot heal people until they're willing to give up what makes them sick.
Yeah.
So you don't get to keep the stuff that makes you sick and include them in the protocol and think you're going to do better. You want to get better, you give up the things that make you sick. I can't help you. By the way, if you're not even willing to do that, how can I help you?
Yeah.
I can't change evolution, by the way, first of all, but I can't help you then. Because if you're not willing to give up the thing that makes you sick, I cannot help you. And yeah, my goal is not to tell you what to eat. Again, it's you know what I mean? But so my answer would be, what if I'm right? Is that what you want to negotiate with?
Yes.
Why does everything has to be negotiation based on what you want? Like sometimes that's not how life works, man. Sometimes you got to do the shit. Like, people with a sled push and go like, well, what if I do it like this? No.
Yeah. Can you do 10 instead of one really good one?
No, yeah, or no, can I just not go as hard? Like I remember we had that question where someone was saying, oh, instead of going 100%, I can go 90%. What's the difference? Why should I go 100%? I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. This was tagged on actually to the same Game Changers question, which I love it. just at the end of the game change thing, then also, would masturbation be considered a fix via No Fix November?
Stop.
Like everything, depends on how you're doing it. But
no, the porn itself can be an issue because it's fake socialization.
It's
so it can.
almost, yeah.
No, well, no, honestly, just in the sense of it can give you a false representation. Either you're young or you're not that experienced with women or whatever. It could give you a false representation of what sex is. If you look at most of the porn right now, it's mostly in a violent form.
Leaning that way, yeah.
Coming on the girl's
Overall,
face.
yeah.
Like there's a lot of slapping around, there's a lot of pounding. It's a fairly violent environment, right?
It is definitely like that whole scene is meant to be a guided, sympathetic.
Right, to make you come.
Yeah.
That's the point, right? And so it's designed not for pleasure, it's designed to make you come. People have to understand with porn, that's what this is.
And to keep you coming back.
Well, yeah, but there was actually a porn producer was saying like most people actually fast forward to the coming phase, which I thought was very interesting. So they're interested in the action.
I just want results.
The end. Yeah, which I thought was...
Well, I've been in the fitness, we know how this works. I just want abs.
I just want abs. Yeah, I guess it's the same mentality even in porn, which tells you about something about humans.
I think that's off, probably, it doesn't work that well for me. Is that how it is for women? Guys just come and say, I want the end.
Let's just get to that point. It's like, so... masturbation, don't worry about it. Like, please, let's not start to make things worse than they have to be. It's like when I say No Fix November, people took away the music, masturbation, all stuff. I didn't say go hurt yourself. That's not what I meant. Don't worry about masturbation. It's completely normal. Go do it. It's good for you. The way you create fantasies through porn, if you're not experienced, that can be a little bit more touchy. I'm not against porn at all. That's not what I'm saying.
And things like escapism and things like that are everything is okay in a dose. And that's like everything. Listen, if Julien wants to go to Antwerp tomorrow and have some sugar, it's kind of up to him. If it looks good, tastes good, you want to have it, you know there's a price to be paid. But if you're going to fucking eat that 10 times a day, like now we got to have a talk. Yeah, you were willing to pay the price.
One time.
Are you willing to pay it all this time?
Right. So the problem is you get that with masturbation and porn. It's like if that's all you do continuously, there's a moment where you expect sex to be easy because that's what you see. You expect sex to gonna be with most of them are gorgeous, at least physically, women. Or, I mean, like you're gonna develop expectations that might not be the healthiest mentally for you.
Also, without having to offer any sort of value back in return. I mean, both physically, emotionally, pleasure-wise, technically, everything.
Exactly.
I mean, are you fucking interesting? Are you compelling enough someone to want you?
Right.
So you do skip a lot of those
things. And by the way,
things.
the lead up to sex is half of the battle.
Yeah.
That's what makes it exciting. Is
porn.
The lead up to
it's like steroids.
Yeah. Well,
basically.
And again, I'm not against porn at all. That's not what I'm saying.
Or steroids.
No. Yeah, exactly. But there's a moment where, like, it's like that dude that takes train or shit like that and still looks like shit and doesn't train. Because he thinks taking the steroids is everything and he doesn't have to train.
Yeah.
Then you have a problem.
Yeah.
So porn as an added, I'm all for it. But if he starts to replace things, right, just like steroids should not replace training. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. That's all. But I saw that. Don't worry about masturbation.
I think we had actually gotten that question maybe via the mentoring program a couple of times, but I don't think we had.
But they were making it into a weird. It became a religious issue. I could tell real fast.
So actually, in No Fix November, an interesting thing is that you need to remember the basis of this is about not using the enteric nervous system. Like overall, you're not taking a substance to change because then there's a predictive error.
Yeah.
Now this is an action that may not align with your desired results.
It can result in prediction errors.
And because there's some parallels, it's a reasonable question to ask.
No, for sure. But it might lead to anxiety, for example, in the sense how it's going to create a prediction error. Yeah. Because your fantasies absolutely do not match the reality of your life.
Yeah.
So an experienced guy can watch porn all day because he's been doing it enough where he goes like, me, I barely do because I'm like, I can do better. You know what I mean? I'd be more interested. Like, just put a camera on my I bet you it's way more exciting than this shit. So
I don't like the camera angle, the turning to the camera thing.
I feel for them because you can tell like there's someone telling them that.
This is not how this works.
I will give credit to the performers to be able to stay in the scene where that takes some skill. I can tell you that.
We've talked about this to the extent of my camera angle skill here is I'll say, Julien, I think I need you to, like they do in porn, just open up to the camera a little bit.
But like doing that, well, that's tough, right?
Yeah.
But so so I have no issue with masturbation. Just do not create a prediction error with it. That's all.
Let's go. Where are we at with time? Let's do maybe one more. We never get very many questions through with these, but
keep the good ones coming. We're on the roll.
I like this one. I did the no fix for a month. Now what? Do I go back on the protocol? Do I stay on no fix until I got it all fixed? What do I do? He said I have added some. I don't know whether this is recent or not, but I have added some carbs back to give more energy. I'm assuming still around training.
Right. So you're on the no fix. So my advice will be simple: stay off caffeine, stay off sugar.
Yeah. What I think happens for most people is when you get done with the no fix, you're gonna know what got your goat during that month. You know what I mean? Like I knew, I was like, the caffeine was the thing. I haven't had caffeine since, I don't think. And I don't think not even once. And
no caffeine.
And so for me, I knew that. And then what I will do again is I'm probably gonna give myself another, I don't want to like quote myself on the fucking internet, but in maybe like another month, I'm probably gonna do another 30 days of no alcohol, no caffeine, no sugar, just to see after having the prolonged impact of the caffeine, removing the other stuff might give me another breakthrough.
The point for me was no sympathetic fixes, right? Nothing that creates a sympathetic reaction. So for example, technically I'm still on no fix because when I get my potatoes, like the cool down potatoes in the morning before I go train, they don't create a sympathetic response at all.
No.
At all. But I don't put butter, mozzarella, I just eat them like that. And cold with the way we cook them, they don't provoke a sympathetic reaction at all. So I will not introduce into my diet something that creates a sympathetic reaction. So I'll have a drink here and there, but although I had drinks last night, but that was the first time in
long time,
3 months, maybe more than that, right? And so
I think, honestly, probably since before we had the whiskey tasting at the Malt Vault here,
right?
Like before Richard and Dea went back to.
Right, right. So that must have been like 5 months
before Christmas.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, or way before that. So yeah, it's probably like 5 months since last time. But anyway, I won't have the potatoes don't create a sympathetic response. So that's why I'm having them, right? And then as a test, because I'm on still very early in the testing, it's working well so far. But I did not put the caffeine back in. I didn't put the sugar back in. Don't put the stimulants back in.
Yeah.
So if you want to have carbs when you train, yeah, sure, no problem. Go ahead. Yeah. But I would suggest the cold oatmeal, cold rice, cold potatoes, something that does not trigger a sympathetic response. Try to stay away from sweet stuff.
Yeah. So for somebody who finishes No Fix November, finishes the month, no sugar, alcohol.
Yeah, put some carbs in the.
I would say get back to the experimentation drawing board.
Right.
Because at this point you're living a life of less. And you may don't know the difference between all those things.
Yeah, my only thing is don't put the stimulants back in.
Yeah.
So try to find some form of carbs that don't, get a massive sympathetic reaction.
Yeah.
Or stick to those when you train or stuff like that.
But that's a good question because we get that a lot. Where we'll talk this and
there's
that
a good
to do
question.
This forever. It's like, well, no, this is kind of a calibration tool.
It is because it's a bit, let's be honest, it's stringent, right? But again, my advice would be don't go back on caffeine, don't go back on sugar. After that, you can just start playing with stuff. So
here's a good one on the neoprene training, which, by the way, we will be doing like a full neoprene training episode where we'll kind of break it down now that we've got, I don't know how long it's been, probably like 50, 40 episodes worth of experimentation in that ground. So this is a question on the neoprene. Will training with neoprene for a good amount of time, let's say 6 months to a year, eventually make it so we are able to fully activate the weak muscles and greater fight state without needing it anymore? No, but I need the interoception one, the episode what we're going to do to explain that fully. Yeah. So no, I still would tell you to go on the neoprene because it reduces somatic errors. Like I'll have to explain that one. There's the basics is I don't know, if it is as kind of like the data has shown, like 36% more effective at first. Like, in the beginning, of course. But if it is more effective and you're not paying too much I'll explain real quick. For example, there's a therapy called the whole body hyperthermia therapy that was done with infrared light on the skin to raise the core temperature past 38.3. And one session of that resulted in the stopping of symptoms of major depression disorder in 40 patients for up to 6 weeks.
one session. Why? Because it creates an overwhelming response from the signals from your body all the way toward the brain. So the afferent part of your system, there's an overwhelming afferent signaling happening.
And because it's continuous, it's not momentary.
Right, and everything, it creates a diminishing of the somatic errors, of the prediction error.
Becomes the most accurate prediction in the world.
Exactly.
It's fucking
because it's but that particular overwhelming feeling is actually your best cure against anxiety and stuff like that. So I would suggest, just not every session obviously, once or twice a week, but almost as a reset of the prediction error. I need the interoception episode to explain that.
Yeah. So we'll get further into that as a whole. So we have to make a note. We need to make sure that we do
the interoception first and then the Neoprene second. Yep.
The other thing though is, what about being able to fully activate the weak muscles without needing it? Like, yes. I do believe that.
Totally. Totally.
So if I, here's the thing, if I had a client who was coming in with some one-on-ones and they don't know me from anyone else, and maybe I don't have all their trust in the world, but they come in, I come in and we do an assessment, I do some things, I tell them kind of what's going on, I do the scan confirms with the scope, confirms I have something to show them, right? Like, this muscle needs work, this needs work, this, kind of like we said. Give them a plan that may involve some bodybuilding work, some neoprene amongst our general training. Then in the end, at say 8 weeks, 12 weeks later, I can show them via the scan, see it's working, it's better. Then I would just use the neoprene to check in, to continue to do that good work. And when they're doing their other training, say they're in my group classes also, they're not going to be a neoprene, and those muscles should work better with time.
Right, so the point is that eventually those muscles work without the neoprene, no question. Yeah. They should work without the neoprene. So at first we use neoprene for that as well, but there's a deeper reason for the neoprene. Yeah. But there's no question that eventually you should be able to take off the neoprene and still get the glutes firing or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It probably will, the sensation will never be as strong, but it is very necessary, yes. Okay. I agree with that. Yeah, otherwise, what's the point, right?
All right, now I mean it with just one more. Let's do this one. I didn't even see this on the way through. I have to be so emotional. Here's what I did. I took screenshots of all the questions I wanted to answer, and then I decided not to use them and look through all the others. So now I have a total clusterfuck, and this is going to be a mess for the next 6 months. What are the factors to consider when coaching a person with autism, diagnosed or not? It doesn't mean maybe that you have, but coached somebody with. Yeah. But if you're coaching somebody in that setting, what are the things that you would need to take into effect?
Right. So repetitive negative stimulus is by far the worst thing. So it's going to be control of the environment is going to be very, very important. They do not like excessive stimulation, right? So that's a very important one to remember. Like, don't change things constantly around them, because that takes away the safety feeling, and especially repetitive stuff is harder to deal with. And so the control environment at first will be a fairly big one. Like, they're gonna have to be safe, and then by definition, autistic people are designed to be good at one thing. So find where they're good at and let them just do that again and again and again and again. That brings the issue of imbalances, right? Yep. So that's the problem, right? So you want them to find them a low skill stuff, because the excessive repetition of a movement to learn a higher skill will destroy them at first. Yeah. So the sandbag is your best chance. Like, if they like to carry, because again, what they're gonna need is an overwhelming feeling from the body to be able to connect properly. So you want to do something that is actually painful. So sandbag carries, stuff like that, right? Yeah. I need the right interior insula podcast on that one a bit. But you're going to want to have those very, very strong feelings coming from the body. And if they like sandbag walk, and then that's what they do every single time, right? And then after that, you just try to...
to take it from me, I would say maybe like, you have to kind of like build, so say their need, right? You can get a carry thing work, and then you find a need next, like the next need that's a priority.
And then you
so what
try
you have to do is
balance.
kind of find something that you can like. It can be the thing that'll give you as the coach that result, and then you got to hope that works.
And don't change the stuff all the time. Don't worry. What they like is to be good at something. So once they have excited, they like, just let them do that.
It might be a little different than your CrossFit class, which if you have the same workout on the board twice in 6 months, they'll freak out.
Yes.
Hire fucking go on comp train.
Exactly. It's no NC Fit right now. That's what they all do. But the key will be, like, on the higher skill movements, be careful, because highly repetitive negative stress is a killer.
Yeah.
So if they fail like 10 times in a row, they lose their shit.
Yeah.
That's the worst part is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes it harder on...
How do you connect wins in that regard, if you will? Like, where do you connect wins? Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of overwhelming...
The problem is you won't see it as a win, but they will.
Yeah.
It's like they'll do the same carry every single session, and they're getting better at it because they can feel it, but you don't see it.
Yeah.
And so you won't know, but to them it's a win. And if they have, not that they're autistic, but they have ASD, or autism syndrome disorder, then they'll probably, so they're further down the arch, right, when it becomes actually dysfunctional, then they won't tell you. So that's going to be a problem. But the fact that they are getting better at it is the win.
Yeah.
So you might not see it necessarily but to them
it will
it will
register
be.
with them.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's that. It's just allow them to get better at something. That's the drive, because that's fundamentally who we are.
Yeah.
Machines that are designed to get better at things.
So it really is a matter of like looking around, try to find something that we can specialize.
You'll see something they like, and then just let them like they fucking. Some will draw 10 hours a day, some will code 10 hours a day, some will read cognitive neuroscience hours every day. Who knows, right? They're like counting toothpick on the floor. Who the fuck knows, right? But that's where we were literally bred to be, and so it's getting better at something. So find that and just let them loose.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it every time, and that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is for coaches it's hard because that's not what they want, and so they think, well, that can't be good for you, which is normal. It's not a criticism. I totally get it. Yeah. And through their experience, no one wants to do that. So then suddenly you have a person who only wants to do sandbag calories. You go like, oh, that's weird. So that's okay.
Well, that's got us probably about where we got to get today. Just so you know, if you've been submitting questions, until I come up with a system, what I'm going to do is pick questions that we want to answer.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of. Honestly, what I'll do is it's probably actually a point where I think that maybe we have a gap in something we've explained. If your question is something similar to something I get a lot of, that's going to float to the top. So if you have something and we don't quite get to it, be patient, or we might never.
And we'll do a live Q&A anyway at some point.
Yeah, I'd like to get live Q&As set up when we get here so that I can do it actually like, so people can do live things, kind of do it mostly through the YouTube channel so I don't have to build a lot of shit. But those would be fun.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. I'd like to do that. Yeah. Back to it. I mean, like once a month, twice a month, we go back to the good old Q&As.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for today. Let me do the breakdown. Shit. What do we got? StrongFit.com, StrongFitEquipment.com, StrongFitEquipment.eu in Europe, MantoFitness.com.au. By the way, I didn't know that. I was saying MantoFitness.com. Yeah,
right, because it's Aussies.
If you just look Manto Fitness on Instagram, they'll have the Australia stuff. We have Red Pill training. Is that going to be operational fully?
Right.
As in like coming in on it?
Yeah, coming in.
I'll have, you'll see on our stuff below, we'll have all of that when we get it. But that'll be opening up soon. That's the training and nutrition, the whole shebang, one place. What else are we offering?
Instagram.
Support the podcast at podcast.strongfit.com.
Yes.
Instagram, StrongFit1. Tyler F. and Stone. We have Rare Barracuda. And there was one more thing. Below to the bottom, again, is going to be in the description is the Q&A stuff if you have questions. Seminars are going to be at strongfit.com. Everything else, I hope I get it all next week. Yes. So. All right, thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.